Hey everyone, it's Nicole and I am here for today's weekly workshop. And I am super excited to be here with my friend Stasia of Stasia Style School. And we met a couple years ago through another friend. We were part of B School and I'm really excited to have her here because I have been jealous of her for a while now. And asking her to bottle off her launch magic and share it with me. Because Stasia has been having sold out launches for a very, very long time, for years now. How long have you been doing style school?
For 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
And she's been selling out her launches. She used to have obviously a smaller number of participants. What was the first launch, you would say? How many spots did you fill?
Like my first one when style school was even a whisper?
First, like setting the number of like people. Was it 30 or 60 that you would do? I can't
remember. I started with 40.
40 people, which is a big number, like people, that's a big, big number of spots to fill. I'm going to be very honest. I think people don't always realize we always see like the huge success stories. And that is, you know, and we like think like, oh, 40 people is easy to fill things. And it's not that easy to fill them.
No, it's not that easy. No, it was mega.
Right. So she's been doing it a long time. She's been setting her goals for certain numbers and she hasn't had the list size to do it, which is what is really insane to me because truthfully, the way launches typically work is that you warm up your audience for a launch through webinars or through email sequences or through challenges. And then you launch your program to them with, a very defined email sequence that's set up to sell it. And about 2% of your pre-launch people, which usually isn't your full list, guys. That's where I think people get confused. They're like, oh, well, I have 500 people on my list or 1,000 people, but how many people are actually like warmed up and interested in what you're going to sell for that sequence? And I know I made that error many times in the beginning. I would just launch to my full list without doing anything. And then I'd be like, why didn't I get more sales? What's going on? Why is nobody buying? And the truth is that I really just didn't set it up properly. I had no like launch strategy. But I know from the start, and I know we talked to you even supporting me behind the scenes a little bit when I was like, how are you doing it? And what do you think has been the difference for you that you've been able to go in and sell out your program?
Well, first of all, I'm going to correct my name so people say it right. It's Stasia with a long A. I know it happens all the time, but I know as soon as people get on camera, they forget how to pronounce my name because they know that you know.
I got nervous.
I know you know. So I was like, I'm just going to tell her, no big deal, but we don't want to be spreading bad rumors about my name out there. Anyway,
this is why you should always ask. Like that happens to me. Everybody's like, right as we're going live, they're like, wait, how do I say your last name?
Yeah. So anyway, so in terms of launching, I have no formula.
Right.
So you just said, the formula, this and the pre-launch list. And I don't even, honestly, I don't even know what you're talking about because I don't do any of that stuff, which sounds, I don't know. I haven't needed it.
Right.
So
why and I have ideas on why that is. Do you have any ideas like on why that is? And do you want to tell them a little bit more? Actually, why don't you tell them what Style School is? Because the other piece that I love about this is that you don't actually sell, like this is what I hear all the time. People are only successful if they sell to other business owners. People are only successful when they sell to people who have tons of money and are going to invest in something that is going to make them money. And you're not making anybody money. Like you're not making people money with your course. You're not promising them any money.
No money.
And, so tell them a little bit about your program too.
So let me just back up. I'll back up a little bit. I started Style School around 3 years ago. And it's been like, first of all, the fact that I even have a style school is bananas to me. I live in rural Vermont. Style is not a thing here. And I run an online style school, right? And I'm like wearing sequins on a Monday because that's how I roll here in Vermont. So I mean, when I first started Style School, I remember because I knew you I feel like way back when, like my first Style School, I had 40 people on my email list. And I sold 18 spots. So I had like this 50% conversion, which was bananas. So that was like that my very first style school, I sold 18 spots, and I thought that was amazing. Right. Amazing, because I didn't, it was, I mean, I was floored. It was incredible. It was so awesome. And then, and I think it was I don't think it was I mean, I think the strategy that I used back then is the same strategy that I use today to launch. And it's just storytelling. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit of a storyteller, and I am married to my why I do the work that I do. Right. Is always very transparent. It's very clear. I kind of get going bananas when I get all talking about what I do and why I do it and why it's so important and how it changed my life and my kids' life. And right, so I think the story behind my why and what I do, and I think that's what, like, I tell a story and say, join me on this journey, because we can do this together, arm in arm, linked together. We're going to, you know what I mean? And then people go, me too. And then they sign up. And so it's been awesome. But one of the things I have never really focused on is the numbers or the money. Mm-hmm. I've never, like, that's never been one of my goals. Yeah. And it's always like, ooh, that's a nice little treat or a nice little surprise. So that's always been kind of this nice thing that's happened on the side. But it's never been, I never was like, someday I'm going to make $75,000 in a launch. Like, that just doesn't even make sense to my brain that could ever be a thing, right? Because it's how many people can I reach? How many women's lives can I inspire to show, to be this person they want to be? I think style school itself, I'm not promising any, like you said, any riches. Most of the people that sign up for style school, I would say many of them, probably the majority of them, have never taken an online class before, ever in their life. This is their first online class. So I'm certainly not selling to, my target market are not women who pay for courses all the time. Most of them have never taken a course, and I'm talking to them about style, and that's something they broke up with 25 years ago. So it's not something that they're like already primed to be like, ooh, I want to learn what the latest trends are, or, you know what I mean? Right. It's nothing like that.
And and I think this is just so important for people to hear, because I hear all the time, like, people are worried, like, their courses aren't going to sell, their audience has no money. And your course is actually about style, like, in finding things at like Goodwill and vintage items and things like that. So you're not even saying, like, you have to have all this money. Like, people who care about style have money or whatever, things to upgrade. You're making it really easy for anyone.
Well, and I'm taking the style out of style, really. Mm-hmm. So style, when we think about style and we think about the fashion industry, which I have no part of any of that stuff. What I'm teaching has nothing to do with what's on Pinterest, what the Instagrammers are wearing. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. It has to do with who are you and how do you want to show up. We don't need to know what the fashion trends are. We don't need to know what's hot at H&M. We don't, like, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is who are you and how do you want to show up in the world, right? So the work that we do in the course, it's about the clothes, but it's not really about the clothes, and people know that.
And value.
It's about stepping into your power as a woman. It's about showing up on the outside in a way that reflects who you are on the inside. It's about, go ahead, Nicole.
Did you feel like that was your messaging from the start with the course, or was it more external style?
No, that was my messaging from the beginning. And before I did style school, I had read Jeff Walker's Product Launch Formula book. Do you know that book? Yeah. So I had read that way back. And in the book, it had said, so this is sort of where my curriculum development came from, was I had read the book, and it said something about like a pre-launch, and it was find out what people want to learn. And so I had done like 50 free calls to my 125 people on Instagram. Like I had nothing. I had like,
I love that you did that though, because I just say like, I did the same thing. People avoid this step. Like I avoided that step for like a solid year because I had already had another business. So I was like, I don't need to talk to anyone. I can use. And I remember there was like a 6-week period where I did like 60 calls myself. And that is like when everything changed for me too. So I do think it is so powerful to get past, you know, people out there who are listening. I know they're probably have held themselves back from getting on calls with people. And I did it too. And it can change the traction of your business for sure, the trajectory of it.
Well, and I didn't have a business, so I had nothing to lose at that point either, right?
Your business either, and it could also give you the start to it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had no business, and it was like, I had a story, right? I had a good story. I had a purpose, what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this inside out congruency work. Who are you on the inside, and how do you want it to reflect on the outside? Right. And then I was like, okay, well, if I write a course, what's it going to be about? Like, what do you put in? I don't know how to do this.
Right.
And so I got on calls and I took a ton of notes, and all the questions that people had about style, none of them had to do with the clothes.
Right. Totally.
None of them had to do with the clothes. And so I was like, all right, so I'm going to run a style school that has nothing to do with the damn clothes, right? Because that's actually not what people are curious about.
Right.
They think that they want to know about the clothes. They don't want to know about the clothes. Right. They want to know, how do you find the courage to wear the clothes that you already know that you want to wear? How do you stand up in your today body and not hide it because you're so ashamed of your thighs and your belly and your arms and your this and your that? So it's about having the confidence to wear the clothes that you already want to wear. It's about getting rid of that mindset like, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not pretty enough, my thighs are too this, blah, 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 all this stuff. And so what I learned, I mean, I didn't really have a notion of what people wanted to know, but I thought it would be more like balance and proportion and, you know, pattern mixing and color and, you know, like I thought it would be more that. And then after like a bazillion calls, nobody asked me any of those damn questions. Right. And so I built the curriculum around what people really wanted to know. How do I not hate my body?
For those of you that are on, this is why so many programs, courses fail. You don't talk to people and you don't find out what they want. And I see this happen all the time. You will find out what they really want. You don't dive deeper into the layers of what your clients really need, what your audience really needs from you. And it can be, honestly, like I was uncomfortable on the calls at first. I was uncomfortable asking. I was so worried that like people were going to ask for stuff I didn't know. And, you know, I just want to say that please, if you are not doing calls, please make sure you can do them at any time. I had to do them after I started my business to fix it. So, you know, it's okay. You should be doing some of those calls anytime you're thinking about a new program or service. And this is honestly very important because my audience is into multiple income streams. And this is how you really create income streams that work, create programs and that complements each other, and that you're not just kind of going out. I see this all the time. People go into different audiences. They create different programs and they end up, it's not right for their actual audience.
Yeah.
Something that they think they see and they never talk to anybody, or they're like, oh, that looks easy. Other people are selling this. I can talk about that. And it really is important to connect with your audience and to build your audience based off of the interviews and things that you're doing, because that's what helps your messaging. That's what helps your storytelling, you know, stand out.
Well, and I think it's even, you have to find people that resonate with so not even like, what am I good at talking about? What can I sell? What's my story? What is the thing that what like transformative experience have I had? What thing can I share that's profound and that is sort of like life changing? Do you know what I mean? It's finding the good story, and not how can I do this, or how can I make a buck, or how can I just start this new thing. It's where's the energy, where's the work, you know? And so I always like, how do you do it? I found my story. I found, the light is crazy. Oh, here we go. I found my light pocket right there. I found the work that works for me, you know, that really is compelling. And and it's something that I love sharing and talking about. And it's not because I want a new income stream. It's because I wanted to do work that was really important in the world that changed people's lives. Like, I think that comes through, you know, that
I agree. And I think like talking to people really helps with that, because I think we actually have like blind spots sometimes.
Yeah.
When it comes to our own message and story. Like we really are so in our heads about it and are so overthinking about it, because, you know, we do have other responsibilities at times. We do need income at times. And it's easy for that stress to kind of take over and just focus on what seems easiest. But I think that, you know, it is important to talk to people and to really see what do they want to know from you, because it's, you know, it is like sometimes, you know, we don't know what parts of our story are going to resonate, or we don't even realize it's something that's meaningful to people until we actually talk to them and find out what it is, you know. So I think that's really important too. And you know, I think for sure, it's easy to kind of get distracted about that when we start to, you know, we start looking at like launch sequence emails, and it must be because like my emails weren't, I didn't have, you know, I only had 5 emails instead of 7 or whatever. I don't
even know. Yeah.
It's very easy to get worked up in those details and kind of the solid foundation, which is really like knowing your message, your story, your audience, and being able to really be in alignment with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think, you know, that was a big piece from what I've seen for you to go from, you know, 18 sales to 30 sales to 60 sales, right?
Well, I mean, I think for me, how Style School sells, it's word of mouth. You know, I use Instagram. I've never paid for a sponsored post, a Facebook ad. I've never done that. I've never paid for anything on Instagram. I've never.
This is why I call you a launch unicorn.
No, I've never done any of that stuff ever. But you know, the first programs, you know, did well, and then they told their friends, and it just keeps. You know, Style School so much is like friend of a friend, a friend of a friend of a friend, a friend of a friend.
And for you, I really recommend that you follow Stasia on Instagram. I'm going to stick the link in the description, which is Stasia Savasuk. I'm going to mess it up.
Savasuk. Yeah, that's fine. Stasia Savasuk. Yep.
Savasuk.
Well, and Instagram is like my favorite place because I can be a storyteller on Instagram. Yes. Right? So that's what I do is I put out good content.
You put
all the time. I put out good content. Style School, if you wanted the content of Style School, look at my Instagram. It's all there. Everything is on Instagram. I teach in my stories all the time. I give away. I'm just like, here, just take it. What you get in Style School is community.
And honestly, easy access.
Easier access
for sure.
It's all contained. It's there. But I give that stuff away
for financial accountability and investing in yourself too.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you get the sisterhood, you get the group, you get the experience, you get me comment, you know what I mean? It's super supported, tons of mentorship. It's so much.
You guys, this is why Stasia's able to sell out her program every time. She's consistent with her messaging all the time. And she shows up consistently. Like you don't post on Instagram and then not post for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? You show up consistently. You show up with your message and story and everything you do. And I really recommend anybody who's watching this definitely follow her on Instagram, because you can see the storytelling. When you look at it and you know what I mean? When you're looking at it from the external piece of the story, you'll see the messaging so clear and everything, and how people can really connect to it and relate to it. And if you can honestly just start by increasing that 10% in your own work, it's going to help people engage with you better. And I know myself, like the more you do it, the easier it is. Like I am not the best storyteller, and I always blame it on my training as a therapist, because we're told to just kind of be objective and take details and be clinical and all that stuff. So truthfully, that is not, I know that that is for sure an issue with my work, and like I'm always trying to improve it. But when I do tell stories and I do show up consistently, it's a lot easier. Suddenly you notice stories everywhere and you can turn anything into a story. I think, and, you know, you can find the story or share your message in little everyday things. It doesn't have to be big transformative moments. I think it can come out in everyday little things. And I think that's what's really good for you. So I feel like you do, Instagram is a huge piece of it. You know, I know you have a mailing list, and when you open your course, you put it on Instagram, right? That it's open? Do you announce it on Instagram?
I just did that for the first time this past time. I usually don't. Yeah.
Now, how do you get people onto your list so they can find out about the course?
I don't do anything.
Okay.
I have no strategy. They just find it and they sign up. I don't even know. I feel like I'm telling you, Nicole, I have no strategy for anything, which is kind of bananas. I used to get, I don't even know. I mean, I have a website that I made.
Is it linked on Instagram?
No, is it? I don't even know. Let me look.
So maybe this is the key, you guys. Make it really hard, and it'll be like those like speakeasy secret bars in New York City that everybody wants to go to.
You know what it is though? And here's the thing. If I've hesitated to streamline and make systems that were really easy, because I feel like I would have gotten overwhelmed. If people, by the time people find their way to my email list, they want to be there so bad.
They're literally like signing up for the course when they sign up on your
they sign up for my email list. That's kind of what I feel like, because it's not, I'm like, how do you even, dang, you know, like you had to work to find that, because I'm not dishing that thing out anywhere.
Is needed.
But so the reason why I've never developed strategies is because I've never needed to.
Right. But, you know, and I think though that's not true, the strategy is the storytelling. What
I've never developed is a strategy to sell. I just say, oh, it's Monday. You guys, I opened the doors to Style School on Friday. Did I forget to tell you?
Right.
If you want to sign up, you can. And that's it.
Yeah.
And then I launched and it sold out 5 minutes.
You had that huge November launch. Before that, when was the last time you launched the course?
September.
Okay. And was that a big launch as well? Or was it?
It was I did Style School for about 1.5 years. I sold 40 spots 4 times a year. And to me, I thought I had hit it. Like I thought,
And how much is Style School at that point in time?
When I started Style School 3 years ago, it was $149 is where it started. And every session, first session, $149, second session, $199, third session, I think I did $199 twice. And then every second session, I raised the price $50. So I went, $199, $249, $299. I went from $299 last 2018, January 2018, I went from $299 because I was selling out in like 15 minutes, right? 40 spots, 15 minutes, 4 times a year. So I was like, something needs to change. So that's when the January session of 2018, I upped my spots to 60 and I raised my price $100 to $399. So I went 60 spots, $399 and sold out.
Right.
You know?
And I love that you really stuck to the number of spots too, because I think a lot of people say that, but it's not true. You know what I mean? And I think honestly, it could have been very tempting to you to add in another, when you were at 40, add in another 20.
Nope.
40. Let me add in more. But you have been very authentic and honest with the number of spots in terms of sticking to that, which I think also people saw it sell out. They couldn't get it. So then the next time they were more alert and aware. And also it prevented you from, I think, honestly not collapsing the business, because it could have grown too quickly because you didn't have a lot of systems and support you. You know, and I think that you're also able to really deliver high value to those people because it was at a set
Well,
number.
and that's the thing. The integrity of the program was more important to me than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was first starting and learning, sort of getting my feet wet, 40 women was all I could manage.
Mm-hmm.
And by manage, I don't mean manage. I mean all that I could sort of emotionally support, because I was still learning the content that I was teaching in some ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're developing a curriculum, you've got to move through the kinks of it. That worked, this didn't, got to switch, new worksheets, that exercise kind of blew, like, you know what I mean? Like just kind of figuring things out. And sorry.
No problem. Did you get some water? This happened to me last week. I was doing a summit interview and I was like hacking, and thank God the person was like an energy healer. I'm sorry. She like healed me in the middle of the interview. Feel free to grab some water if you want.
No, I have some here. I'm just second down. Just
I know.
But the
integrity of the program.
The integrity of Style School has always been, I am in, I don't launch it and then disappear. Right. I have a Facebook group. I am in my Facebook group. In the beginning, I was in the Facebook group 6 to 8 hours a day supporting these women through everything. Right. It was intensive. Every day you showed up, you got feedback on questions. We were digging deep because I knew that you thought you were coming in to learn about the clothes, but I learned that what you really wanted to know was how to access soul fire and how to get over your body issues, right? So you start here, I come in here. You start here, I come in here. And that took a lot of work and a lot of practice for me to learn how to.
That happens to me all the time with my clients.
You know?
It's going to be like strategy. And it's like, whoa, this is like reworking your brain. Like,
yeah, it's big work, right? So it took me some time to sort of develop my skill, and I knew I could only effectively support 40 women. And then once I felt confident enough, I was like, okay, I can add 20 more to my plate. That's it.
Right. So this is the thing, is that what I do think is important too is that you weren't trying a million things, right? Like you're not going on Facebook Lives and doing like closet tours. Like you're on Instagram, you're showing up on Instagram, you're talking about your message and your story, what the, you know, your audiences want, you know, and you're consistent with where you show up, which I think people get bogged down. They try to be a million different places. And, you know, you find out what works and you keep it rather than and you just kept improving on it and being more consistent in those areas rather than trying to, you know, add in new stuff.
Yeah, no, it's always been the same since the beginning. Like, and it's just really the transparency of, and for, you know, it's the story, it's like, it's life. It's just the vulnerability, the sharing, I just did this and it really hurt me. And this, you know what I mean? Just bringing a lot of truth and humanity and love and tenderness and openness and vulnerability and all that stuff. And it's you know, and it's that it's the connection. I feel really connected to my people, you know what I mean? And it's so funny because I'll be in town or I'll be out and about and somebody will be like, oh my God, your hike on Sunday was so great. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny that you know everything about my hike because I shared it.
I know.
And so people feel so connected, right? Like we're friends, even though I don't know them, but they know me because I share a lot.
You sold out 60 spots, right? That was the last smaller.
Which one?
January.
No, I did 60 in January. I did 60 more in April. I did 60 more. So I launched 4 times a year, sort of around like school and, you know, my retreats and stuff.
That's also what I love too, is you haven't gone in a million, like you haven't added in other programs. You stuck with what works. I've done that with my masterminds as well. You know, it's a consistent program. It's what I found out during those original calls with people that they wanted. And, you know, 6 masterminds later, because mine are longer and I can't, you know, it's a little more intensive. You know, it's the same thing that still sells out and works. And I see people try to like switch it up all the time. And
I'm like, why would I this? And honestly, it takes time. I'm still learning how to do Style School better. I'm still learning how to make it a more powerful, more effective, more transformative program, right? I'm still a learner. And I think as soon as I start feeling like a learner is the day that style school is going to kind of suck, right? Because as long as I'm consistently looking to improve the content, make the user experience more powerful, I don't know. I think it's, but you know, I launched, so I've been in a heavy launch sequence. The fall is my hardest because I launched September, November, January. Every 2 months I'm launching. It's intensive, right? And so I launched in September this past year and it sold out. It sold out in like it was like 5 minutes or something. It was ridiculous.
I can't.
It was 60 spots. I opened the doors and I couldn't, well, what happened, it was funny because I opened the doors. It sold out so fast.
Right.
And as soon as I opened them, I had to start shutting them down, but I couldn't get them shut down fast enough. So like 68 people got in and I was freaking out because I was like, no, I can't. Like I know how much I can handle myself, you know? And so few extra people got in because I couldn't shut it down fast enough. And that's how it works to me is as soon as I launch, I'm already.
Had anything changed in your list during that time between January and September?
I mean, I get January, well, then I launched again in April, and that one sold out super fast. And then that one sold out super fast. And then again in September. I mean, I would say my list growth is like 1 to 2 people a day.
When did you do, but you did something that got you a lot of extra visibility.
As of November, I did.
As of November. So it was after September.
It was after September. I did a TED Talk, a TEDx talk. And so I did the TEDx talk in September, which is, you know, whatever, you just do it and nobody really knows until it comes out on YouTube. And then you're like, ooh, who knows what's going to happen now? Will anybody see it? I don't know. Within a month, it had 100,000 views. And so it did pretty well in that first month. And so when I knew I was going to have problems because I was adamant about not changing style school. 60 people is all I can handle. That's it. I can't do any more than that. I can't support more women. I'm not just going to throw a bunch of women in a group and call it a day. Like, this is not the way that I teach. This is an interactive
program. I just want to be clear. So when you did that and you saw 100,000 views, right? Were you getting like, what was it changing anything? Were you getting more followers on Instagram?
Yes, my Instagram was going crazy. I got a ton of new followers on Instagram. I was getting like 70 people a day on my email list. And I was like, what am I going to do with this?
I just have to like make clear, when you say people are signing up for your email list, they're going to your website.
Yes.
Where, like, what does it say that they enter their name for? Like,
it's something dumb that I have to take down. It's like something that I've had up for 3 years.
Or is it?
It's like a list on like the top 10 thrifting tips or something. It's like, doesn't even have to.
The only way people could get on your list, or is there like a wait list style school spot too?
No.
There's like no way to opt in for that.
No, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And so people were signing up for my list and they were coming direct from TED, right? From the TED, from my YouTube thing. There was a little link to my website. And I was getting emails. I can't even tell you how many emails I was getting from people around the world that were like, I can't wait for the November session of Style School. I had 100 emails from people that say,
do you talk about Style School in the TEDx talk?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I mentioned the word.
Okay. I was just curious if you're allowed to or not talk about.
Well, it was, I mean, I said,
right. It's part of the story and messaging, right?
It's part of the whole thing.
I just wasn't sure if you're like allowed to talk about.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't, I mean, it was super clear.
It's not salesy. No.
Not salesy at all. No.
Yeah, no.
And I don't say Stasia Style School. I kind of like, it's kind of like the side thing, but it's in the bio of my.
Okay. Just curious, because it's good to know how people are then like emailing you and saying like, I want to be a part of Style School.
Well, it was in the, like underneath the talk, there's a Stasia Style School with my link to my website. I didn't even know that was going to go up there. I thought that was awesome. And so then I started getting all these emails and then I was like, what am I going to do? I already sell out in 5 minutes.
Okay.
How am I going to do this? And I was like, well, people, it's just going to be what it is. Like, that's it. I'm not changing. And then, because again, I had hundreds of people that I felt like were ready to throw their money at me. And I was like, no, thank you. I don't want any of it.
Right.
Integrity, integrity, integrity. And so then I had a whole bunch of conversations with my alum, and they were like, Stasia, what are you going to do? Like, this is your chance to work with more women, to change more women's lives, to, and you know what I mean? And I was like, I did the talk. I thought that was going to do it. I didn't know all these damn people were going to now want to sign up for style school. That wasn't part of my plan. You know, I just wanted to be able to have something that I could share and say, if you can't do style school, watch this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I didn't know it was going to do this big thing all by itself. I had no idea. But again, good story, compelling story. So, and then it was like I got together, different alum proposed ideas to me on how to grow style school with integrity. They told me what the most important parts of style school were. They told me where I could let go a little bit. They guided me on how to.
Yeah, so I love that. So you basically did the same thing again. You did market research, you know what I mean, in a way, with your previous students. Yeah,
with my students.
And I think this is so important, again, because I think that so many times we are just so scared to be given feedback. We're so scared to like open up. So that's really a vulnerable piece to do that. You know what I mean? And I think that this is the thing that so many women business owners block off, because they're afraid of what they're going to hear. And as a result, they're not really able to support their people the way they really want to, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, and these women were like, we believe in you, Stasia. Your message needs to be heard. Here's how we think you can scale style school. We want you to reach more women. And here's how you can do it without compromising your integrity. And so they helped me come up with a system.
Right.
And that system would accommodate, like, they were like, go big, 220 people. And I was like, nope, I'm going to do 4 squads. I'm going to hire facilitators to help me do the, you know, the group, And so we it was like on like I was launching Friday. On Monday, I was still like only 60 people. On Tuesday, I was like, all right, I'm going for 160. I'm going to triple the size, right? Like almost triple it. I didn't send any emails. I didn't do anything because I was terrified.
So, but did you send an email early in the week just being like, style school is going to open?
I think I sent one on like Tuesday.
I think I remember you saying like you sent one early in the week to be like, hey, on this day, it's going to open.
It's going to open. And then
that was her launch sequence.
That was my sequence. Here it comes. I don't know what's going to happen.
So then you opened, and
I had to learn how to, like, I had to hire people. I had to bring in all these mentors because I do a lot of mentorship. So I had to get like all these mentors. I had to learn how to use Teachable. Like I had to set my system up because I could no longer do it all by
manually.
I was doing everything by email before, you know, and I was like, oh, I think I need a platform now. I got to learn how to, it was it was crazy. And then I opened the doors and it was amazing. Just to be like, pa-ping, pa-ping, pa-ping. Like PayPal was going crazy. And I know. I
remember we were like messaging, and you're like, you still get so nervous every time too.
Oh my God, I like die every launch. I die because I'm always like,
if you had to do a 2-week launch sequence, you'd like never survive it.
It would be crazy. Well, because I've never had to do a launch sequence.
I know.
Like, I've never had to do it.
You poor thing.
But you know, and it sold, and 160, and I was like, all right, shutting it down after 24 hours. My doors were open for a week. I mean, they could have been. I had a week to sell. I gave myself a week window. And after 24 hours, I was like, that's it, shutting it down.
How many emails did you send out in that first 24 hours?
1. I just sent out 1 email.
Right.
And it was, doors are now open. Here's the link to register.
Right. Oh,
that was it.
I didn't even have to write a sales email. I swear, I'd be so happy. But I think that is because, you know,
I did the work already.
Right. Exactly. You're showing up all the time. You're connected to your audience. You're listening to them. You're taking in their feedback. And you're sharing your stories. And a lot of people aren't doing that, you know?
I think what I sort of have like an ethic for my Instagram feed And what does it have to do? It has to educate, inspire, and motivate. Mm-hmm. Those are my 3 words for my Instagram: educate, inspire, motivate. Inspiration without motivation is cheap, right? Education without inspiration, motivation is cheap. You need to have all 3. It's that trifecta. And because that is the ethic I have for my Instagram, I don't want to say every day is a commercial, but every day is kind of a commercial for stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't ever feel like I need to come up with this, like, okay, now I'm in launch mode. I'm sharing about it all the time because it's important to me. It's how I live my life. It's just how, you know what I mean? So it's not like I need to switch into this mode because that's the mode I'm in all the time.
And I think
it's not a sales mode. It's a sharing mode. It's a connecting mode.
Right. And, you know, let's be real, like, selling is helping, sharing, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, you know, you can help people so far, but it is okay to sell too. It is okay for them to buy, you know, and I know a lot of people struggle with that sometimes, and that's totally okay. But I think the other thing too is that, once again, like, for people who are listening and really just make sure, are you showing up all the time, connecting to your story and the message your clients need to hear? Are you just kind of throwing random stuff out there, you know, like filler? Don't bother. Really, don't
bother.
Really show up genuinely. And, you know, the more you show up, the easier it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then you're connected and it's, you know, it's just the constantly, I mean, then I do need to, I think when everything was small, when I was 60 people, I could do that without any systems in place.
Right.
Now that I've expanded, you know, after my TEDx talk, my business has shifted. With that launch, it allowed me to hire my first full-time employee. So I have like a full salaried payrolled employee now. So it was, you know, I had this extra income and I was like, oh my God, I can have help. This is crazy. So I have an employee now for my business. And then I launched again in January and I didn't sell 160 spots in 24 hours. Right. But it's like, oh, I don't know where my business is settled now. I went from 60 to 160, and this launch, I sold like 130, almost 140 spots. And I was like, oh, that stinks. But 3 months ago, I was selling 60 spots and feeling like the king, you know, queen of the universe. So it's still good. But I would like to be a little more consistent with my messaging via email. I feel like I do a fine job on Instagram.
Right.
But what I don't do is I don't have this space now that Style School is bigger and my schedule is so much bigger and then I'm doing so much more. I don't have the time to just even write random emails anymore, or like connect to the people on my list. And I used to do that. I used to just send fun emails that were education, inspiration, motivation, right? Like I used to send emails to my list just when I felt moved to, but I had the space to do that once a month, once every 5 weeks. And I don't do that anymore. And I'd like to get back to doing that. Because I think
because not everybody's on Instagram.
Not everybody's on Instagram. Right. And now that I'm raising my bar. Yeah. Right. They gave me, you know, I've raised my bar in terms of the growth of my business. And it's going to take me, I think, a little bit more work to maintain it up here. As opposed
to put in new things. Yeah. And I actually want to say something about that, because that's something I hear about from people all the time is like, I don't want to email my list a lot. Like, you're not saying that, but like, you know, it really affects people that are like, I don't want to email my list a lot. I don't want to seem salesy. I don't, whatever. And I email my list a lot And it's very important to me because people are signing up. They are giving me their email address. They are saying that they want to hear from you when they give you that email address. So I do think it's important to care for that, and do that by giving education, not just showing up when you want to sell, which a lot of people do.
Which is what I do now.
Which is what you've done.
Which is what I've done. But so, it doesn't make me feel good to do that. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I do want to come up with like a welcome series email. And that's just a matter of me setting the damn thing up. I've got so much good content that all I have to do is set it up into a series, except I don't know how to do it. And so I don't do it because I don't have time to do it because I'm too busy growing you know what I mean? So now I have an employee and that's going to be her task, right? Is to help me get some of these systems set up. Because I also find that I'm always like 3 days behind, a week behind. Oh no, I should have. Oh shit, I should have. You know what I mean? So I'd like to have some plan in place so that this stuff so it's not so stressful, because I do wing it and it's worked, but it gives me stress, and I'd like to eliminate some of that stress.
And I think, it does get to the point where there's going to be times where because you just do, like, you're going to get burnt out, or, it's stressful and that energy is going to be in the mix. Yep. And also, we shouldn't be doing everything in our business.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I'm in this place now too, where I'm doing more working on the business and working in the business, where when it was smaller, I could do it all. But now that it's gotten so big, I'm doing
you've gone from, basically tripled from 60 to,
it's almost tripled. Yeah. Like this, in like a month, it would just like this. So there's some growing pains with that, and learning how to navigate that. And I'm not just sort of like one woman show anymore. Right. Now it's like, and now I'm keynoting and I'm speaking at conferences. You know what I mean? So there's more stuff happening, and I can't be doing everything anymore when I've got these other things to be doing too.
Right. Yeah.
So it's shifting, but launching has always been kind of an easy, stressful, because I always think this is the one that's going to fail.
I know.
I always think so.
Time. I know. I seriously, every single time. I'm like, am I going to sell a single spot? And then it's like, I fill it up and I'm like, how's that? And I'm like, still the next time. I'm like, is anyone going to want to be working with me? So for you guys who are feeling that, totally normal.
Oh my God. I remember my husband came home from work one day and was like, hey babe, how's the launch going? This is my level of anxiety. I had a glass of water. He asked me how my launch was going. I took the glass of water, plump full. I shot it across the room. It hit the wall, broke into a million pieces. I landed on the floor crying. That's how stressful launches have been for me before. I was just like,
imagine if it lasted a week, what you'd be like destroying the TV.
But this last launch was, I launched it and it didn't sell quickly. And I was like, what do I do?
Only 100 spots.
But it took a week. And I had to send like 6 emails.
Oh my gosh, it
was like this bananas thing for me to be like, what? I have to send another email? Are you kidding me? I don't know how to do this. But it was a really important lesson for me. And I learned a lot too. And so I think at the end of 24 hours, only like 60 people had signed up. The last time I had 160. So I was like, oh my gosh, what's happened? I had just launched Heavies, a month and a half before. Yeah. Christmas, New Year's, it was January 3rd. You know what I mean? So it was like, there was a lot of reasons why things weren't probably selling real quick. January's a hard month anyway, I think sometimes.
Yeah, I think for certain things, it works, but maybe for style school, it might not be.
Well, for those self-indulgent things right after the holidays, that's a little tricky.
Yeah.
So it was, and it taught me, but what was really awesome about it was I really appreciated having that whole week because I couldn't believe, I thought, because I had a broken mindset when it came to how to launch, that if they don't sign up in 5 seconds, they don't want it.
Right.
I sold another 90 spots throughout the week.
Right.
And I was like, Wow.
You were probably like ready to give up after that first 24 hours.
Oh, I was like, that's it.
Done.
I'm quitting, going back to the way it used to be, 60 people only.
Right.
And then a friend was like, no, Stasia, there's people, they just haven't decided yet. And I was like, what? What do you mean they haven't decided yet? Of course they've decided. Either they want to or they don't.
Right.
Like,
Right.
there's no in between here.
Yeah.
And she was like, just keep going on Instagram. And so that's when I actually started selling on Instagram, first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, doors are open for stuff. Usually I'm like, doors are open and they're closed, right? Like that's all I do on Instagram. And this time I was like, here's what you're going to get out of style school. Ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam.
Right.
Sign up, blah, blah, blah. And I pitched it hard on Instagram, which I had never done before, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I sent emails where I was like salesing a little bit. And like 80 more people signed up. And I learned that there are people that are on the fence.
I was just going to say, all those people who have been on your list for years that never like were ready to buy it in the first 24 hours.
They need the doors to open, and they need a little time to like look at the sales page, feel it out while the doors are open, while registration is open.
Hear from your students, right? Because you can share obviously their stories and wins too during that time more and spotlight them more, which is a cool opportunity. And I know you do that regularly too, which is a big piece.
I do it.
Yeah. But I think it's nice during that time to really spotlight people.
Yeah, that's fun. I love to do that.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's been I've launched well. And I think to maintain the consistency of being able to launch at this level of having these bigger launches, it's going to require me to have an email welcome series, to have 3 or 4 different launch series so people don't hear the same ones all the time. I might need to figure out something to do with like I don't know. I have one email list. It's not I don't know how to do anything. So I might have to learn how to like do a thing with that. But what I don't want to do is get too sequency and too launchy and too formula-y and I want to keep it really heart-centered and vulnerable and soul, sort of like that centered, because that works for me,
I mean, honestly,
but with a little structure to ease some of my stress,
right. And I think for sure, and to just, ease your stress and make it easier, because it's hard to be like starting from scratch all the time.
It's hard. Yeah.
When you do get your business to a certain level, like the things that you used to do just don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Maintain it. But I think the other piece too for people that are on is just really make sure, one, if you take anything away from this, like I want to say, go out and talk to some people who are in your audience and find out what they really want from you and what they really want for their lives, really more than anything else, than just from you, so that you can be more connected to your message and help them get that. Because I think, I know that's what, if you're my audience, that's what you want. You want to make a difference. You know what I mean? You want to be able to reach more people and have a bigger impact, but you do need to be communicating with your audience to make that happen. And, that really is just it. And it sounds simple. It's not, because I'm still working on it too. So if you feel like, how have I not been able to do that? It's really talking to people. It's practice. It's consistently talking to people, not just showing up once in a while. And I think that's a big piece of it.
It's vulnerability 101 is what it is. Put your shit on, put it all on the table all the time and let people help you grow.
Right. Totally.
Really. Let people help you grow. I mean, everything is out there. We just have to ask the right questions. Be curious. Don't know everything. Be curious. I think that's where so many of the gifts lie, is in the curiosity.
Are there any questions in particular they should ask? Do you have any recommendations for them if they're trying to get clear on their story and messaging and helping more people?
To me, the number one best question you can ask for anything is why?
That's awesome.
Why? I want to have a closet that works for me. Why? Well, because I'm tired of going to my closet and being mad and having nothing fit my body because I hate my body. Why?
Right. Just keep going.
Why?
And listen, I think that's the other piece. I always say, like, you should be listening on those calls like 80% of the time. You should not be talking.
You should be asking a lot of questions. until you hit it, and you'll know when you hit it. And I think, you know, when I did all those questions, you know, those calls years ago, and it was just like, oh, that's interesting. Why is that important to you? Oh, wow, that's really fascinating. Why is that important to you?
Right.
Why is that your goal? What is it that you're looking for when you achieve this? What are you hoping to feel? Right. So just kind of like going. So we think, and then we go, 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 go. So it's like this archaeological dig down to the actual stuff. And so style school isn't like we do this work, and I throw in some of this because it's what we think we want. How do you mix and match patterns? How do you know how to color block? I talk about all that stuff. But what happens is you learn how to do all this, and then you still don't have the courage to pull it off. So we've got to work on you got to kind of like hit things at all the different levels of you know what I mean? You got to be able to do all the work instead of just the work. And then once you find those core, and then over time, I think, because I've done style school for so long, it's easier for me to sell it because the themes are more clear to me now because I've worked with so many people. You can start to see the trends and you know what I mean, where people are stuck, and your messaging gets better over time because you worked with more people, you know?
Totally.
So I think that sort of consistency of message and curiosity, and really get to the real truth of what people are craving and wanting in their lives, and not just this stuff, because this isn't really it. It's this.
Right.
And it's harder to get to this. And if we can teach this and create a curriculum that supports this and a community that supports this, then there will be a lot of success.
Yes, you know? Totally. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We went on long because it was such important stuff. And I know you have to pack up to go to Mexico.
I do. Poor me.
I'm headed to Mexico. I'm headed to Mexico in a couple weeks. This is what happens, laptop lifestyle, right?
I know. I'm going for 5 weeks. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully I'll run into you there.
I know. Maybe we'll see each other in Playa.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Great.
I'm going to, once again, check the comments, follow Stasia on Instagram. I think that's really important because I really want you guys to watch what she does, look at what she does, and how she connects and tells her story.
And watch my TED Talk too, because that's a good.
And watch her TED Talk too. I'm going to link to it in the comments.
It's a good example of storytelling, knowing your why and being able to share your story, you know?
Yeah. So I'm going to share a link to that as well, because honestly, like, these are the things that are going to really help your people. And that is so important, you know, like really just being there for them and taking the time to really listen to their needs that they might not even realize are their needs. But when you're listening to them and hearing what they want to be different, you can really help them get that. And that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Cole.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Continue to leave comments and questions and we'll get back to them.
Awesome.
All right, everyone, have a great day.